Well, welcome everybody. It's wonderful to be with you here all on Zoom. Thanks so much for inviting me. As Diana says, my name is Helen Mason and I'm the Director of Unitarian College. I'm also a lifelong Unitarian. My family's Unitarian connections go back 6 generations, but I always say that doesn't make me any more of a Unitarian than someone who's just joined us for the first time this morning. My great joy is metaphorically getting out and about in the denomination, not much in person recently, but on Zoom and meeting other Unitarians. I'm an educator by profession and not a trained minister, so bear with me, and I hope my Zoom skills will live up to their billing this morning, but I'm sure you'll all work with me on that. So let's now have a short piece of music as we settle. As you know, it's a Unitarian tradition to light a chalice when we join together for worship. It's a practice that links us with Unitarian communities around the world and shines a light on our time together. So if you've got a chalice, please light it with me now. And I'll light this little one here, little Unitarian College chalice. And there we have our flame to shine a light on our worship together. Our opening words are adapted from the work of Stephen M. Schick and Sharon Wiley. In these troubled times, these days of weary isolation, we come to discover that we are not alone. Into the dwelling place of togetherness, we come to collect remnants of hope. From fear that all is lost, we come to discover what will save us. Into the refuge of each other's company, we come to sense the strength that has not yet vanished. From darkness, we come to wait until our eyes begin to see. Into the sanctuary of dreams, we come to remove illusions and set our sights on new visions. From despair that walks alone, we come to travel together. It's okay to be tired of change. It's okay to be tired of everything different. Okay to feel weary of resilience and wholeness and learning and growth. And it's okay to yearn simply for rest. It's okay to be grumpy and unsatisfied, and all the ordinary human ways of being that we are. Let this morning be a reminder that you are loved. Let our time together soothe what is restless in you. May you be comforted in knowing that whatever you are feeling today and other days, you are not alone. You are never alone. So come, let us worship together. And now I'm going to ask Ben to unmute and read for us. Thanks, Ben.
This is I Want to Be With People by Dana E. Warsnop. Often people say that they love coming to a place with so many like-minded people. I know just what they are getting at, and I know that they aren't getting it quite right. I don't want to be with a bunch of people who think just like me. I want to be in a beloved community, where I don't have to think like everyone else to be loved, to be eligible for salvation. I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, and truth, though they have different thoughts and opinions about all sorts of things. I want to be with independent-minded people of good heart. I want to be with people who have many names and no name at all for God. I want to be with people who see me in my goodness and dignity, who also see my failings and foibles, and who still love me. I want to be with people who feel their interconnection with all existence and let it guide their footfalls upon the earth. I want to be with people who see life as a paradox and don't always rush to resolve it. I want to be with people who are willing to walk the tightrope that is life and who will hold my hand as I walk mine. I want to be with people who let church call them into a different way of being in the world. I want to be with people who support, encourage, and even challenge each other to higher and more ethical living. I want to be with people who inspire one another to follow the call of the Spirit. I want to be with people who covenant to be honest, engaged, and kind, who strive to keep their promises and hold me to the promises I make. I want to be with people who give of themselves, who share their hearts and minds and gifts. I want to be with people who know that human community is often warm and generous, sometimes challenging, and almost always a grand adventure. In short, I want to be with people like you.
Let's move now into a time of quiet, peaceful prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, God of all love, as we settle into this sacred space set aside from the rest of our week, may we truly feel you moving among us. Bless us with awareness of your presence in our time of need. For we are in need of strength and courage. Our road is filled with rocks, it seems, with boulders strewn boulders so high we sometimes wonder whether we can climb them. We are in need of comfort and encouragement. We long for a cooling hand upon our forehead, your steady voice whispering in our hearts, it's all right now. We are in need of cheerleading. When we see what is to be done for others, for our lovely earth, for those we love, we would hear your voice crying out to us to help in whatever ways we can. As we sit here in this lovely, loving circle once again, let us realize that this spirit of encouragement, comfort and love is within ourselves, within this gathered community. We are the instruments of the good that abounds. May we feel the Spirit and carry it with us all our days. And let us now, in the holy quiet, listen for the voice of love within our hearts. Eternal Spirit, Earth Maker, Pain Bearer, Life Giver, Source of all that is and that shall be, Father and Mother of us all, loving God in whom is heaven. The hallowing of your name echo through the universe. The way of your justice be followed by the peoples of the world. Your heavenly will be done by all created beings. Your commonwealth of peace and freedom sustain our hope and come on earth. With the bread we need for today, feed us. In the hurts we absorb from one another, forgive us. In times of temptation and test, strengthen us. From trials too great to endure, spare us. From the grip of all that is evil, free us. For you reign in the glory of the power that is love, now and forever. Amen. And now I'm going to invite Jean to unmute and read for us, please. Thanks, Jean.
This is an extract by Barbara Windle from Quaker Faith and Practice. To confirm the deepest thing in our students is the educator's special privilege. It demands that we see in the failures of adolescence and its many confusions the possibility of something untangled, clear, directed. It asks us to sustain that faith through a multiplicity of discouraging experiences, and indeed to find within those experiences the grounds for hope. It requires us to love freely, readily, unconditionally, but truly, without relaxing our standards or compromising ourselves, because to do that would be to disappoint and disillusion, a sure means of stunting the student's growth. Above all, we must water the ground of the student's being with faith in that deepest self. To do so constantly, tirelessly, patiently. And to love enough to know what one should demand from the student in response, and how and when to seek it.
Thank you, Jean. Beautifully done. Thank you. Well, we've all heard the unattributed saying, give someone a fish and they'll eat for a day. Teach someone to fish and they'll eat for a lifetime. This pithy little sentence encapsulates for us all the value of learning in our existence and its inextricable link with our growth and prosperity as we pass through life. We've all been learners at some point in our pasts. I bet if you close your eyes for a moment and think quietly, you can remember something life-changing that was passed on to you once by a teacher, a family member, or a friend. Let's try it quickly now. Well done. We've now created a rich vein of material to share and discuss together in our social time later. But what is learning, and how can we be sure we remain good at it? Albert Einstein said, "When we stop learning, we start dying." It's a stark warning, but I think anyone who's wrestled with the operation of a new mobile phone will raise a wry smile and know what Einstein was talking about. What do we know about learning? Well, we know we learn best when we're excited about and interested in the subject matter, and we also learn best when we can bounce ideas off others to test our theses and see whether others hold similar views. We also know we learn best when we get good quality feedback on our progress, which we can hear and synthesize in order to set ourselves goals to improve. The old memories of a teacher's red pen on our written work may or may not be a good example of this, but a helpful work appraisal from a sympathetic but challenging boss, or a quiet word from a trusted friend when we ask what they thought about something we did, are perhaps better examples. Peter Honey and Alan Mumford, based upon the work of Kolb, identified 4 distinct learning styles or preferences: activist, theorist, pragmatist, and reflector. These are the learning approaches that individuals naturally prefer, and they recommend that in order to maximize one's own personal learning, everyone ought to understand their learning style and seek out opportunities to learn using that style. Peter Honey says, if you can understand your own preferred learning style, you can become smarter at getting a better fit between learning opportunities and the way you learn best. This makes your learning easier, more effective, and more enjoyable. It saves you tackling your learning on a hit and miss basis. Equipped with information about your learning preferences, you'll have many more hits and fewer misses. So without turning this little talk into a seminar on educational theory, let's take just a closer look at these 4 learning types. And I'm wondering whether Diana can just share a visual for us while I speak. So activists are those people who learn by doing. Activists need to get their hands dirty, to dive in with both feet first. They have an open-minded approach to learning, involving themselves fully and without bias in new experiences. Theorists like to understand the theory behind the actions. They need models, concepts, and facts in order to engage in the learning process. They prefer to analyze and synthesize, drawing new information into a systematic and logical theory. Pragmatists need to be able to see how to put the learning into practice in the real world. Abstract concepts and games are of limited use unless they can see a way to put the ideas into action in their lives. They are the experimenters, trying out new ideas, theories, and techniques to see if they work. And finally, reflectors learn by observing and thinking about what happened. They may avoid leaping in and prefer to watch from the sidelines. They prefer to stand back and view experiences from a number of different perspectives, collecting data and taking the time to work towards an appropriate conclusion. A good way to illustrate the different styles is to imagine how we learn that fire is hot. For activists, putting their fingers too near the fire teaches them not to do it again. For theorists, a message from a parent, "Don't touch that, it's hot and will burn," might prevent them from trying. For pragmatists, understanding that fire heats the room prompts their intuition to understand that therefore the fire might be hot. And for reflectors, watching the activists burn their fingers will dissuade them from doing similar. Of course, we all have a bit of each in us. As Honey and Mumford point out, the very best learners work to develop in all the styles rather than relying solely on their preferred one. Take another couple of seconds now to identify your preferred learning style and why you've chosen it. What could you do to develop the other styles in your everyday work and life? I like this little quote from Confucius, which might help illustrate this for you. By 3 methods we may learn wisdom. First, by reflection, which is the noblest. Second, by imitation, which is the easiest. And third, by experience, which is the bitterest. Thank you, Diana. And now we're going to have some more music. As Unitarians, we are well placed to ensure we keep learning and not dying. Our faith is not creedal and therefore relies on our own consciences to keep developing, updating, and working on our theological positions and spiritual paths. Have we not all at some point looked with a little envy at those faith groups who can be told what to believe, without the need to question these rules or truths based on what our instinct tells us about their applicability to modern science or life or morality? Arguably, the beautiful core of our faith is the learning we do together, whether that may be in chapel on a Sunday morning, in small groups round kitchen tables, or whilst walking out together in the wonder of our natural world. How many times have you sat in chapel listening to a sermon and thought, I don't agree with that. That's not my belief. That doesn't sit right with me. But as Unitarians, these differences don't mean we storm out and never come back. They lead us into new questions. Why don't I believe that? Why would they believe that if I don't? Have I really ever asked myself why I hold the position I do on that? And so actually, we come back more often to continue to wrestle with life's difficult questions and to hone our own belief systems around them. And arguably, a Unitarian's belief system morphs, changes, and evolves over time as a result of these stimuli and our responses to them. In ministry training at Unitarian College, we asked ministry students quite early in their training journey to write a personal credo or belief statement. Just 350 words or so, starting with the sentence, I believe. We then asked them to write another statement a year or so later into their training, after they have immersed themselves in the study of academic theology, the practice of leading worship, and the discipline of keeping a spiritual diary. How the statements change over time, not necessarily in their core thrust or values, but in the tidying of the peripheries, the honing of the detail, or the addition of elements not before included. It's a challenging and fun exercise. I urge you to try it, either on your own, quietly at home, or with other Unitarians in a small group. There is as much to learn from the statements of others and how they change as from our own. And now we're going to sing again. I'll pop myself on mute. I once heard an anecdote about a Unitarian ministry student who, when asked by their tutor at the end of their ministry training whether they felt they had anything else to learn, replied that, no thanks, they thought they'd learned everything they needed at that point. If the anecdote is true, this is a worrying situation. Harry S. Truman once said, "It's what you learn after you know it all that counts." I'm sure we can all recognise this. In some ways, unlearning what we think we know about life is the hardest part of our human journey. Sometimes a major life experience, such as a bereavement, an illness, or a rite of passage, can prompt a change in our personal credos. Other times, simply the slow, inexorable passage of time and a growing maturity leads to these changes. Alvin Toffler said, "The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn." I have to confess, I still receive my bank statements in paper format, to the exasperation of my husband, who keeps all his banking records on the computer. He feels my files of paper statements clutter up our lives. He's right, of course. One day I probably will move across to electronic statements, but that time has not arrived for me yet. As you know, I'm the director of Unitarian College. The college was founded a couple of years ago now with the express intention of growing our faith from the inside. Our strategy is to provide learning and development opportunities for all Unitarians, young and old, to enable them to develop their faith, to keep learning and not start dying. We're currently working with student ministers, active ministers, adults, children and families through our various training programs. Although things are still a little bit embryonic as we start early on in our journey as an organisation, we have very many exciting plans and ambitions for the future. We're extremely grateful to the generous support we've received from so many Unitarian communities for the work that we're doing. If you would like to learn more about the work of the college or how you can get involved, please take a look at our website or grab me for a quick chat in the social time after. In my view, Unitarianism is well placed to respond to the needs of people seeking more than just the day-to-day bombardment of media and messages about what feels a rather fractured world at the moment. And Unitarian College wants to enrich and improve the Unitarian experience for all of us through the provision of learning and self-growth so that we can all lead our denomination to greater strength and purpose in the future. I finish this little sermon or talk with a quote from Wendell Berry, which I love. Berry says, "It may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work, and that when we no longer know which way to go, we have come to our real journey. The mind that is not baffled is not employed. The impeded stream is the one that sings." So just a short benediction and some closing music. These words are by Cynthia Landrum. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave behind our connection, our concerns, our care for each other when we go, our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues. So until we are together again, friends, be strong, be well, be true, be loving. And let us take comfort in remembering the kindness and the solidarity we have known here. Amen.